Peace, people. Good to see you again. Hope everybody's doing okay. No, haven't seen you in a few days. I sent out a notice, saying I thought I did it right. I tried to send this notice out before. I don't know if it got to everybody, but I sent out a notice saying that they're doing construction at my house and that I won't be able to do videos for a few days because they're doing construction here. They're still doing it. There, you see that ceiling right there? You see that thing above the ceiling? Well, they're doing work upstairs. They're supposed to be doing some work down here too. The guy comes over to the house, and he said, he comes down here and he comes in here. He's measuring the floor. He got to talking about the ceiling, and he says there was a bad rain in here a few days, and I guess I don't know whether what it was or a leak or whatever it was. I don't know about that kind of stuff. They do that, but there was a leak in there, and he's telling me stuff like, well, you really shouldn't be in here because the ceiling can come falling down because they were up there working. He said the ceiling can come falling down, and we got to do this and that and this and that, and. At first I was like, man, have you ever heard of somebody's ceiling come falling down? I said that kind of stuff don't happen. And I thought to myself, well, this might be the one time when it might just happen. So I think I'm going to take his advice on this one and just let them do their thing, whatever it is they're doing. And then afterwards, so I called myself putting a word out, letting you guys know what was going on and why the videos hadn't been made, and all that stuff. So enough of that. But that's what's been happening. I wanted to talk to you all about kindness before we get into this this soul thing, because we were what we're supposed to be talking about today is the soul aspect of who we are, and there was a couple of things that happened that I want to talk to you all about, and this has to do with kindness, right? I was at this store that I shop at, and the store moved to another location in this beautiful, absolutely beautiful neighborhood, a beautiful area anyway, business district, I should say. And I go to this new store, and I walk into the store, and this lady comes up to me, and she was really excited. She says, "Wow!" She says, "I'm really glad to see you." She says, "How are you?" She said, "Oh, I'm sorry." She said, "You might not know who I am, but it's like you come into the store, and you were just always so kind, and I'm just glad that you're still here, And I was a little embarrassed because I don't remember this woman. I never seen this woman a day in my life. And I was like, I said to myself, oh my goodness, who is this? I was trying to remember who she was, and I really couldn't remember. But the thing is that what she actually said to me, she talked about how kind I was. And, she didn't necessarily have to meet me, I guess, or talk to me on a day-to-day basis. It's just something that she possibly could have noticed each time that I come into the store. And the reason I'm mentioning this to you all is because what it shows is how far kindness goes and how powerful it is. One of the reasons why it's so powerful is because not everybody's doing it, especially our people. Now, don't beat me up about this, because it doesn't mean that our people are not kind, because we are. We're kind-hearted by nature. But where I live, where I am, people, they do kind things, but people don't go out of their way. I was at the store It's a health food store that I shop at. And there was this elderly, there's an elderly white couple, okay? Don't get mad at me because I'm mentioning skin color. It's just one of these things just to emphasize what I'm going to finish telling you. For those of you that, don't like me to mention skin color. But this was an elderly white couple. And they were looking at, this fruit. It was some peaches or something. These were organic peaches. They were expensive. Okay. And this guy, you could tell that they wanted these peaches. And so the man says, well, he says, well, I'm just not going to get this. This is just way too expensive. He says, let's go. And, they went and they looked at, the regular fruit. Now, I had picked up a few things there myself. And so I said, you know what, I have money left over. I said, I'll tell you what, I said, I'm going to get these people these peaches. So I got these peaches, right? So they were when I went to pay for my food, they were in front of me as they were leaving out of the store. Now, this was an elderly couple, so, they were walking really slow. So I paid for my food, and I walked out of the store, and I slipped these peaches in their cart. And I told the man, I said, you really look like you wanted these, so I just decided that I would get them for you. The look on him and his wife's face was priceless. It was absolutely priceless. And they were so thankful and shocked and surprised. And I knew before I left them how much of an impact that's going to have on them for a very long time. And I say that to say that it is amazing how far a little bit of kindness will go. And it was a beautiful thing to do, and it was worth every penny I spent doing what I did. The way that it makes you feel, knowing that you impacted someone else so deeply, and it was not the money you spent, it was the act itself. And so that's one of the reasons why I say that we as a nation of people, not one or two or three individuals, but we as a nation of people should practice kindness. This does not mean that you have to go out and go out of your way and spend your money on people. It doesn't mean that. I mean, everybody, you just can't do that. But what it means is don't pass up an opportunity to be kind to someone. Make it a daily goal. If you see somebody that needs some help, well, then help them. If you see, an opportunity to do something for somebody, then do it. See how it makes you feel. See how it makes you feel. I know it does the world good for me. Hopefully, it'll do the same thing for you. And not only that, hopefully it'll be contagious. Hopefully the kindness will be contagious. And this is what I'm hoping, that, that what I did will be contagious. Maybe they'll do something kind for somebody else. Maybe somebody else saw me do this, because you'd be surprised. Somebody see you do something like that. People catch that kind of stuff. I saw a man, he was being kind to his elderly couple, and somebody caught it on videotape and put it on YouTube, and it was like one of those, when it went viral. This black man being kind to this elderly white couple was on the internet. Look up acts of kindness and you'll see it. And he was just doing something nice. He wasn't looking for any recognition or anything. It was just something that he was just doing from the bottom of his heart. And this is how our people have to what we should return to. Doing kind things and being kind to people from the bottom of our hearts. And I just thought that these things that happen was important enough for me to um, add to what we're going to talk about today. You know, getting, because we are talking about the soul today. We are talking about the spirits today. I lifted their spirits. I lifted my own. And I know the Creator was watching. Not to mention him last, because I should always mention him first. But I'm saving the best for last. Okay? He's the best, so I'm saving the best for last on this one. I know that I lifted their spirits. I know that I lifted my own. I know that the Creator was smiling at that act of kindness. I know that he was, because I know him. And I want him to smile upon you all too. So when you get an opportunity to be kind to someone, then by all means, I would take advantage of it if I was you. So let's get into it, you guys. As we go into this about the soul, remember in the first part we talked about, somebody feeding someone mentally, messing them up mentally, feeding them wrong information. Well, you can mess someone up spiritually also, feeding them wrong information. So if you're teaching them something about, spirituality that isn't true, you can corrupt that person spiritually, and that is what happened to us. Your spiritual part of you, okay, is the immortal part of you. This is a part of you that man cannot kill. He cannot kill you spiritually, kill your body, but spiritually he cannot. As a matter of fact, what I read in here under the word soul, this is what I read to you in the last video, and I'll read a couple of more of these again just to re-emphasize what I said before. And it said, the animating and vital principle in humans credited with the faculties of thought, action, and emotions, and often conceived as an immaterial entity. It's immaterial, they can't do anything with that. The spiritual nature of humans regarded as immortal, separable from the body at death, and susceptible to happiness or misery in a future state. Now that's what happened to me. I was separated from my body at death. And what happens when you're separated from your body? Where does your soul go? What happens to your soul once it leaves your body? Well, I'm going to tell you a scripture, show you what a scripture is that tells you what happens to your soul, so that you know, and just not from something somebody's telling you. I'll show you in 1 second. Okay. This is again, my trusty King James Holy Bible, King James Version. And this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12. And this is verse 7. And this is what tells you what happens to, your soul when you pass away. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. That's what happened to me. My spirit returned to the Almighty. And that's one of the reasons why I said to you that at some point or another, you are going to see the very same God that I keep mentioning to you. At some point, one way or the other, you're going to meet him. And, I can't tell you how to be. I can't tell you, uh, humility and honesty is what comes to mind. And, you know, and that's not to say that any of this is, God forbid any of this is going to happen, but it just says that this is what happened to the soul. And since we are on the subject of soul and spirituality, I know that a lot of people out there are curious to know what happens to your soul when you die. And that is what happened. And that is what happened to me. When I returned, when I passed, I returned to him, and then he sent me back here. Okay, so I just wanted you all to know and understand that. So um, again, if someone is feeding you misinformation about about God, about the laws, His laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments, it's the equivalent of giving them a glass of poison. And over time, which has happened to us, by the way, you can die a type of spiritual death. After Yahweh ben Yahweh showed up, he began to teach the people the truth. As a result, Yahweh ben Yahweh resurrected our people mentally and spiritually. This is what he did. And myself, understanding and studying the truth and understanding his laws and studying the truth about him, about his laws, about myself, my spirit has been released from from my spiritual grave. It has been awakened and released. So for those of you who have questions and things about how are you able to do this, how are you able to, because I know there are people out there that they don't believe what I'm talking about. A lot of people have not experienced this, but this is how I am able to travel back and forth to go where it is that I go. This is how I'm able to see the Creator, see my parents, to go anywhere I want to go. Now, let me just tell you this. You have no idea the places that I've been and the things that I've seen. You have absolutely no idea. And this is only part of the reason why I'm so excited for you all. See, because I get to see my parents. I can see my parents anytime I want. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited for a lot of you, because those of you who have lost loved ones, the tears are about to be wiped away from your eyes. The Bible talks about, God wiping the tears from their eyes. Well, he's going to wipe your tears away. He reunites you with your people. There is a place in the spirit world where it's like a meet and greet. It's where they bring people. It's like, when they come in, because it's sort of, it's almost like an orientation type of thing, but it's like a meet and greet where they go and you actually, just meet your loved ones. There was this lady. I'm sitting there, and there was this lady they brought in, and they brought her over to me. Now I can only assume, the reason they brought her to me is she may not have had may not have been anybody there to, waiting for her, and I didn't know exactly why the angels brought her over to me, and maybe they did it because because they knew I knew her, and I'm going to have to assume that would be the reason. But anyway, the last time I saw this woman, she was I was in a playpen. I was a very, very young child in a playpen, and I can remember this from way back when. She used to take care of me when I was a baby. And it was absolutely amazing to see this woman. Both of us looked exactly the same age. Everybody looks 35 years old or younger in the spirit world. Nobody in the spirit world looks a day over 35 years old. If you do look a day over 35 years old, then that means that you are in serious trouble spiritually. You're in trouble. But nobody there looks a day over 35 years old. I haven't really uh, dived into, my encounters in the spirit world as much as I would have, as much as I would like to. But getting back to this, and I will, okay, we will get to that, more of it, much more of it. This woman, when I saw her, I walked up to her, and I hugged her. I was hugging on her, and she got really really tense. She got real tense because she didn't know who I was. I knew who she was, but she didn't have a clue who I was, right? So what I did was, we as a people have a way of releasing our inner feeling onto the person that we want to. So I released my inner feeling onto this woman. I allowed her to feel what I was feeling. And after I did this, it didn't even matter who I was. This woman just melted. I mean, she just melted. She became, very, very relaxed. And then she led me off into another room, and then I explained to her who I was and how I knew her and all of this. And it's just wonderful. Um, your loved ones that are there, that are waiting on you, um, I mean, they'll hug you, and just, I mean, it's like they just don't want to let you go. You know, they just don't want to let you go. And so when you do see them, I just, one day, when you do see them, just be prepared for that. Just be prepared. Just know it's going to happen. So I just thought I would just, share that all with you as we're on this discussion about the soul and the spirit. And just to reemphasize, just so that you guys understand, um, talking about the soul, that this is the part of you that is immortal. Okay? Your soul is actually more real than your body is. It is the part of you that cannot be touched by man. As far as trying to kill the soul, you cannot kill a person's soul. Only Yahweh can do that. You can sell your soul, as we've seen. People who have sold their souls. Um, I don't think they realize, and I don't know if they realize that when they sell their soul, the person that they sold it to, their reality will become your reality. That's what's so sad, you know, that people don't understand it. I think, I would like to think and hope that they were tricked into doing what they did, uh, rather than voluntarily, sell your soul and knowing that, or not knowing what happens as a result. Wow. People want money so bad that they are willing to sell their soul to get it. If you were patient, and they say patient is a virtue, and wait on your Father and see what He has for you could enjoy that wealth forever, as opposed to just a few years. You'll continue to be in good standing with the Almighty, and you still have your soul. And all you had to do was wait a little while longer. because we are at the doorstep now of obtaining wealth for all eternity. See, because what was promised to Satan and his followers was 6,000 years. Well, what is promised to us is eternity. And it's really, really sad that someone would do that, would that they would do that. One of the trips I took um, to see the Creator, and I'm there, um, standing right next to Yahweh Ben Yahweh. We standing right next to each other, shoulder to shoulder. We're looking at the earth, and we're looking at things that people are doing. And one of the things that I focused on was what people were willing to do for money. And when I was able to see some of the horrific things that I saw people doing for money on this earth, and you could only just imagine the sights and things that I saw. I told Yahweh Ben Yahweh, I said, you know what, man, I don't even want to be rich. I said, I don't even want to be rich. Because what's one of the things that I said when King David asked me, I told him I wanted to be rich, but after I saw what I saw going on earth, I said, I don't even want to be rich. Yahweh Ben Yahweh said, oh, you want to be rich. And I was thinking that, maybe, he was talking about the statement I made to King David. And I said, no. I said, I really don't want to be rich. And he says, oh, you want to be rich. So I know enough now to know, anything that God says, because the Son of God is God, in case you didn't know. Anything that God says or writes or does twice, he means it with absolution. So I know this about him. So I know enough to know that after he said it twice, I said, okay, well, you know what? Hey, maybe I do want to be rich. Now that I think about it, I do want to be rich, because I know better than to because after that, had I not agreed after that, it was been like arguing with the Almighty. And that's just one thing you just don't do, especially when you know. So I said, oh, well, maybe I do want to be rich all of a sudden. Now that I think about it, funny how I changed my mind all of a sudden. but but it's just really sad to see what people are willing to do for money. And I just I don't know. I just don't understand. I just know that it just couldn't be me. I had many opportunities, but it's just not me. I couldn't live with myself knowing that I acquired all this money, but yet I'm losing my soul. That just doesn't sit well. It's just not part of my DNA. Um, so I actually made um, another video about the soul. This is actually a remake of another video that I made. I decided to do it over. The reason I decided to do this over was because the other one that I made, I was giving you too much information too fast. I was telling you too much too fast on that video, which is why I decided to do this one over. That, in addition to the fact that I was prompted not to show that one. um, the information that I had on there, you will know. It's just too early for you to know now. Um, so again, excuse me. Excuse me about that. That was my brother. He is supposed to be dropping off some twos, or he's talking about dropping off some twos or something like that. Anyway, so again, the soul part of us, aspect of us, uh, is a part again that is the immortal part of us. Um, I'm going to end this And the reason I'm going to end this part of the spiritual right now, the soul part, is because I really need to get to the physical. If you guys have questions and comments or anything like that, I would be more than happy to answer those questions for you regarding the spirit world, the soul, things of that nature. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. But I'm going to end this at this part of the soul because I really need to get to the physical. You need to get your pencils and papers out for the physical part of this because there is a lot of information, and this is the part of this is what Yahweh really wants you to know. So we will get to that. I will end this now, and we'll get to the physical aspect of it. And once we're finished with the physical aspect of it, we'll get to all the spiritual you want if you like. So I'll end it there. All right. Yahweh loves you. Yahweh Ben Yahweh loves you, and so do I. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.